Hey singers, it's Jamie Vendera. It's time for another Singer Spotlight. If you've watched quite a few of these spotlights, you already know it's typically about me talking to students that I've worked with, either who's read Raise Your Voice, who've had private lessons, who are part of the Vendera Vocal Academy. But since that time, I've branched out. I started speaking with representatives from companies such as IK Multimedia, TC Helicon, and I wanted to branch out even farther. There's a lot of really great singers that I know in a rock, pop, country genres that are well known or have been well known, and I wanted to start bringing in singers that are actually my students, but singers I respect. And one of the first names that came to me was singer Ray West. I can look back honestly in my 80s, and I was influenced by so many bands and so many songs. But right off the top of my head, and this is not a lie, the three songs that really grabbed me from Headbangers Ball and from hearing them on MTV was Smooth Up In Ya by Bullet Boys. As soon as I saw it, I was hooked. Freight Train from Nitro, and Scratch Like a Cat from Spread Eagle, which is Ray's band. And since that time, Ray and I become friends. I'm such a fan of this singer that I knew that he was a vocal coach in New York, so we worked together. We actually put out a book. Well, actually, I produced a book, and he wrote it, called Melody to Madness, which is the most unique vocal training book you'll ever read. It's not so much about here's how you do a vocal exercise, but it's seriously about here's how you find your unique tone. So, Ray, thank you for being my first rock star to actually come on the Singer Spotlight. I'm glad to have you. And how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You're a great friend of mine, so I'm more than happy to be here and do this. It's awesome.
Well, yeah, you're definitely
spreading the singer gospel.
You're definitely a great
spreading
friend
the singer gospel is very, very important.
Yeah, and I've learned so much from you, especially from reading Melody to Madness. It's really kind of helped to, even though I've been singing for 30 years, it kind of helped to kind of open me up with some maybe negative thoughts that I had about myself, even being a vocal coach and Shattering Glass and all this. Just reading that book and doing that program just kind of changed my own view. And honestly, I've never really put out music, and we started the Academy, and Melody to Madness is really kind of what helped me to get over that hurdle and really find what I wanted to do and not worry so much about what other people wanted to hear. And so I thank you for that. I would love it if you would just give us a background. I want people who don't know about Spread Eagle or All Points West, I want to kind of hear a little bit of your history.
Well, I've been singing in bands since I was 17, so that's a lot less. As the same people can say that kind of story. But when I came to New York, I was in desperate need of a record deal, and so were three other guys. I happened to meet the three other members of the band came from Boston. I was living in New York, and we were put together by separate managers into one team. And there was so much momentum for Spread Eagle at the time that we got signed right out of our rehearsal, which was kind of unheard of back then. We just had that much momentum rolling. It was a high energy New York City rock and roll band. We became embedded in all of New York, going out to the bars and hanging out with other bands and just had a rock and roll community. And a lot of bands got signed out of New York at one time. Labels like MCA came here, and Columbia. Everybody just picked up. My friends Law and Order got signed. I got signed at the same time. The point is, though, Spread got a good run with MCA. We're given a large amount of money. I don't think it was used as wisely as it should have been, but we were a good, strong rock band that got caught up in bad timing.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. The bad timing, because when I think of Spread Eagle, not to kind of put you with everyone else, but I really think of Guns N' Roses, Skid Row, and Spread Eagle. Like, they all kind of had that same energy and momentum. And it was like Spread Eagle came out like a year and a half after them, and it's like, and I love both of those other bands, but neither of them really grabbed me. And like when I heard Scratch Like a Cat, I mean, it just really floored me when I heard that song. So what happened? What happened after the first Spread? I mean, how did it all unfold?
Well, it was probably the best experience of my life, because I got to go out and tour and all that kind of stuff, and that changes you as a person. Once you get to go out and perform somewhere, your music where people already know, it's an interesting feeling to go somewhere and play at a club where people already know your music. It's a great feeling. There's nothing like that, and that I had that experience, and I'm cool with that. But we didn't get the greatest push from the label, so like a lot of other bands, grunge was doing its thing. we were trying to do ours. We got caught sort of in the middle. It was just bad timing. You know, rock and roll success is all about being at the right place at the right time, having the right people around you. It's the perfect decisions at the right time. You know, 1 minute you're on a bus and your video's hyping out on MTV, and then the next minute you're riding on top of your gear, coming back home in a rider rental truck. You're leaving, you know, living in this great bus and living this rock and roll lifestyle, and then you're on a rider rental truck.
But, and you put that in a book too.
All that in a book. It's what drives me. It's what makes me happy. It took me a long time to realize that it wasn't about being a rock star. It was just about enjoying the act of singing and creating. And you don't sort of like get that unless you have had it and I think lose it. You know, I had a good run and I lost it all. So now I appreciate anything that's anything musically, man. I'm a fan of rock and roll and blues and rhythm and classical music. I listen to everything because I've learned the hard way that, you know, music is freedom, and now I have total freedom.
Well, I think you had that total freedom before you joined Spread, because you grew up on, you know, people, like you said, people say, "What do you listen to, Ray?" And you're like, "Oh, I love James Brown, I love Karen Carpenter," and they're like, "What?" You know, yeah, so yeah. You're pretty eclectic to begin with.
The voices of your childhood make up the singer that you become. You can't help that. You can try to shut that stuff out and be somebody else and be something you're not. But at the end of the day, you're going to be, you know, that your roots are what's going to make you a great singer.
Well, even besides, like I consider you a great singer. I loved both. I love both of the Spread Eagle albums for different reasons. And actually, being a kid when the second one came out, I was like, "What? What's going on? Where's the scratch? You know, where'd all the screams go?" But if you listen back, there's such great songwriting on both those. You know, great lyrics, just great harmonies, and all of that. And I guess it takes time to develop as a songwriter. Of course, like you said, it was the grunge area, and you kind of fit in the gray area, so it didn't really transpose over, which I understand. Which is ironic, though. I hear some of your latest stuff, like Novocaine, which I believe was on Sons of Anarchy and Burn Notice and shows like that. What an amazing song! And you know, it's almost like it has that modern metal kind of feel that would fit in. It was a little lower in your voice, but I know you can still sing high, but you just kind of adapted with the times, which is a proof of great songwriting. So, I mean, what is your secret?
I'm a fan of rock and roll. I'm a student of rock and roll. It's like I love when it basically comes down to, no matter what you do, having a great beat, you know, a great rhythm, and feeling powerful. And that's just one of those kind of songs that it moves your body. When you're moving bodies, you're doing the right thing. That's all that matters, you know, as long as you have some substance behind it as well. It's just, I got lucky. You get sometimes in your life, you get that one song that comes along and just makes you feel great. I mean, you know, a lot of stuff I don't stand behind because maybe I wrote it with some people and I wasn't that agreeable that day and I went half measures. But the stuff that I did on my own, I own that stuff. I mean, I mentally own it. That's stuff I put out there. I'm confident with, and I think people hear that when in the music. I hope, like the way you talk about it. You know.
Well, you know, I loved it so much. I'm sure you remember this way back. It's probably been 10 years ago or so. When I first started writing books, I only had out 3 books. We compiled them together as like the Raise Your Voice trilogy. And we had pictures of rock stars, you, my friend Tony Harnell, some of my people that were students, and Novocaine was like the theme song for that. You know, the video is probably still up on YouTube somewhere in my list. So it was a really good song. And from there, you transferred, and you actually said something earlier about the songs of your childhood actually affect who you are as a singer, which entails kind of what your book, Melody to Madness, is about. And a lot of people don't know this about you, but you're a vocal coach living in New York City who does private lessons in New York City. You do lessons on Skype, and very esoteric. You do have your own warm-up program, but it's more about helping the singer find themselves, which I guess is the substance of that book. How in the world did you come up with the idea for Melody to Madness?
It's not about coming up with the idea. It's just putting my life lessons into a book. It's that simple. It's Ray West life lessons into a vocal book. You know,
it just kind of morphed into that.
Yeah, you know, it's a quarter life story and a quarter sweat, quarter alcohol, quarter narcotics and a lot of memory. You know, I mean, I put myself through a lot of bad things, and I've been lucky enough to come out, and I can tell people, you know, from my own life experience, what to expect and where to turn left when they should turn, you know.
Well, I remember when we was writing it, when you were writing it, I was kind of, you know, you're bouncing off of me, and I was like, man, there's nothing like this. And then you saw something, and I forget it every time we talk about this. Maybe it was the singer from Four Non Blondes. You said you saw a TV show or one thing where she was looking for unique voices. You're like, oh my God, that's exactly what this book is about. Refresh my memory.
Yeah, well, it's about what's happening now. I mean, Linda Perry has a show called the Linda Perry Project, and I was surprised that it was that she was doing sort of a talent search, because she's sort of anti that. She's anti The Voice and American Idol, and which a lot of people are, but that's where the business is. She wanted to find a genuine artist who was musically, you know, talented, whether it's keyboard, guitar, but also had something to say. So she sort of takes these artists and she strips them down, she breaks them down to their pure musical essence. And that's what that show's about. And it's about being pure and being true to yourself, and singing unaffected, being genuine when you sing, you know, not trying to be someone else in your head. You're just singing from your heart. And that sounds cheesy, but it's true. You know, I can imagine what it's like singing, and, you know, I'm not a tribute band guy. God bless you if you can make money doing a tribute band, that's good for you. But to sing from your heart and to put something original on tape, I still call it tape, it's funny, and, and put it out there for other people to appreciate, and they actually like it, is a great thing. So finding that kind of stuff, finding those singers is important. Releasing your own creativity is important. You know, even if you're not the greatest singer in the world, whatever that means, everybody has a voice of some kind.
Yeah,
and, it's just about putting that out there and just being confident with it and not questioning it. You know, we can be our own worst enemies by over criticizing ourselves and critiquing everything and being judgmental and being negative when we create. And the book also has a lot of, like, you know, it's the way when you're writing something or singing something that you have so many melodies, so many verses in your head. How do you get all that down? What's the creative process to get all that out of you on tape and let it go? And the book does a lot of that, you know?
Well, if you have an ADD nature, like it's tough. When I was in the studio, when I finally started recording, I was thinking of you, because I was like, what about this harmony? What about this harmony? And leading back to, you said singing unaffected. I guarantee you there'll be some people the same. But Ray, I listen to you know Switchblade Serenade and Scratch Like a Cat. That sounds like it's affected to me. And even somebody listened to the first song that I just put out was like, I wish it was not affected, and it wasn't. There's no special effects on it. It's just me being me. It's you being you. It just, because you have some grit or something, doesn't mean it's affected. It's about finding who you are, because I believe with you is about letting out that anger and that angst, and that's just how it came across.
Yeah, it's about being natural. You know, I try not to. You know, if I'm gonna sing, anybody can go like Eddie Vedder, like, girl, I'm gonna sing like girls, you know.
Yeah.
And me doing that would be affected, you know. But it's about being natural. You know, the la 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 comes out, and then we sing, and we're happy, and we're in our comfort zone, you know. And it's about getting there. That's most important. Any singer has to get there first before all the crazy bells and whistles can go on.
Well, maybe that's what you do best when you teach voice too, because I have a lot of, well, case in point, I had a student who hasn't come to me for a while, but he's in the studio. He sent me the raw track. He's like, I don't even know why I'm even singing anymore. And I'm like, hey, it sounds fine. You know, there's a couple spots here and there. Why are you being so over anal about this?
Right.
But majority of singers, they are so, you know, not narrow-minded, but so self-conscious about hearing themselves for the first time or finding out who they are, that sometimes they can't stand to look in the mirror at what they hear. So that's what I got out of Melody to Madness. It really helped me to get past that.
Yeah, how many times have you had to water something down because, you know, somebody told you, oh, you know, that's got to be it. That's not right there. You could do a little more of that. But you got to be the person at the end to go, No, I think we're good. We're gonna let it go like this.
Yes.
You know, if your sanity is enough, you know, it's actually pitched and it's actually working. You know, you have to listen. You do have to listen to people because we don't know everything. You know, but you have to be honest with yourself and brave enough to sing something, cut it together any way you want via Pro Tools, and put it out there, man.
You got to find a critic that's a passionate critic for
Yeah.
you. You know, I have a great engineer, and
There's some people that just don't want. There's some people that just don't want you to have a
yeah,
good time.
and they never will. I mean, there's engineers like that, or they think they know it all, and they want to hear it this way. And like my engineer, Dallin Beck, I had a really tough time with this middle spot on this one song, this acoustic song, and he helped. He's like, "Why don't you try it like this?" Now he doesn't sing a lot, but he's like, "Well, try this." And I'm like, "Oh my God!" And then it kind of fell into place, and it was like, "Yeah, that's." And he even told me, he says, "I never get that. I never find a singer who will trust me, and you know, and not be so, you know, sacred and like married to every little vocal line they do, and be afraid, you know, afraid to kind of expand their horizons and really see what works best for them." And that's what. Speaking of which, like I said, you teach in New York, and I'm assuming that's what you do. You have singers sing. You kind of help them along, help them find themselves. What does your lessons entail?
Well, you know, it's just about the basics. You want to warm up with someone, see what their voice is like, stretch them out a little bit, not hurt anybody. And, you know, we do our scales that are in the book. You know, there's a few exercises in the book, but also there's, I preach the way you do, you know, easy scales, just to get yourself going, maybe find a song that you want to sing, and we work on that and help. And I like to help people produce their vocals, or if they want to come try to write something with me, that's fine too. And the best thing is to warm up for like 15-20 minutes, you know, keep it simple, and then we just talk vocals, whatever is on your mind. It's because it's really all about, I don't think it should just be exercises then we send you out. And there's more to it. Don't just warm up somebody and say you did great, take your tape and go, you know.
And we lost Ray, but we'll hang on for a minute till he comes back on. So jumping back, we were talking about you teaching voice. And I was actually mentioned this, but I'll repeat it. You know, you mentioned you do a warm-up. I know that you have warm-ups that you have that are like based on Spanish words. So you go through that, then you help them sing, you help them write songs and produce.
Right.
So what if somebody wants to take a lesson with you?
Oh, well, we'll do it through the website. So we're gonna go to raywestmusic.com, and they'll just write me through there, and we can do a lesson on Skype or Hangout.
Gotcha.
If they're in my local area, and I've run some kind of security check on them, I guess they can come by the studio. But it's just go to raywestmusic.com, and that's the easiest way to reach me.
Yeah, if you're in New York, it's better to go there in person so you don't have the computer freeze up on him.
Yeah, cause that was horrifying. Can you imagine that in the middle of a lesson with someone from overseas or something?
Dude, I know it's happened to me before. I've had, not that many times, but that's the beauty of technology. A lot of time it can happen. I've had Skype students from Japan, from Australia, where it's locked up, and I just basically just had to reschedule the lesson. It could have been on my end, it could have been on their end. You never know. You never know. So it's not an issue. But the point we're just trying to make is what a great voice you have. I know that you also, a lot of your songs are being placed in movies and TV. So you're a credible musician. I mean, some people know who you are. To me, you were like the underground Guns N' Roses, Skid Row, Bullet Boys. It should have been huge. But unlike some bands, you've continued on and kind of modernized, and you've been able to branch out and again have your music placed on television shows and in movies. The
truer I've been to myself, the more fun I've had, the more success I've had, the truer I've been to myself. So
what else besides? Okay, I guess I'll back up and say this. I know you got several other books you're working on. A cookbook for one. kind of an unauthorized biography about what goes on behind the scenes. When you're in a rock band or when you're a rock star, you're doing the Melody to Madness Ray West Boot Camp, which is kind of the video version of your book, because you have had a lot of emails, and I've had emails saying, "Hey, Jamie, I understand this, but what does he mean by lesson 12? How should I do this?" So we're actually working through that. It may already be out by the time you watch this video. There is a whole video series for that book that actually takes you to the next level, which is really kind of the same stuff that you learn if I went to a lesson with you. But I love your lessons. It's really beyond that point, because you really nitpick singers in a fun way. That's the one thing I never get from you when we're working together. You never make me feel like even as a student, you don't make me feel like I'm this small. And I've had vocal coaches like that in the past that really don't make you feel that good. And yes, singers, as you're watching this, I do have vocal coaches. You know that. Jim Gillette, Elizabeth Sabine, Ray guides me on certain things with the Melody to Madness, with finding my own tone and songwriting. So, I respect his opinion. You can too. He's a great producer. So what is next for you, Ray? I mean, what are you doing besides the teaching? What's going on?
I'm finding that I just want to write more. I've got some good collaborations going, and especially in the realm of like getting music licensed and getting something. I find that's an easy way to get things out there. I enjoy singing more now to like a little more open type music, maybe keyboard work, singing on top of more ambient stuff. I have people send me music, and I'm lucky enough to be able to choose what I can write to. And that's really all there is. All there is for me in the future is to give back as much as I can from what I've learned to people that are willing to listen.
Well, since you produce a thing that I get a lot, and I really turn to you because that's one thing I loved about Spread Eagle is I guess you didn't show it as prominent as a band like Saigon Kick because they mixed it differently. But if you would have raised the harmonies in your band, you would have been kind of like a Alice in Chains, Saigon Kick kind of band where you would have had those dual lead vocals. You're really, really good at that. So is that something that singers can work with you in the studio or in a lesson as well? Because I get that a lot. Jamie, how do I sing a harmony to this? What would be the best harmony?
That's so easy, because once you put your natural best tone on tape, all you do, the best way usually is to approach it. If you're a singer that has a type of high sounding voice, you want to put the harmony underneath, and that's where I think the secret lies. Learning how to harmonize underneath. Anybody can do the la la la, the falsetto stuff, but when you harmonize underneath, it's fuller, and it gives you that sort of Lane Staley kind of vibe, which I love, and he was a genius at. And when you go back through time, who else has done that? Steven Tyler has done that.
Yeah, like Take Me Back to the South Tallahassee. What was that song? Yes, I know, so. Last
Nobody's
Child.
Fault.
Yeah, Nobody's Fault's another one.
I mean, if you're gonna break down that record, that's the most insane vocal performance stuff on that record. The song Nobody's Fault. Maine is known and now he's gone. I mean, I can't even. The thought of him doing that back then at that time, it's so way ahead of its time. You know what I mean? The James Brown, he's like a James Brown of heavy rock.
Yeah.
And that's the other, Steven Tyler is a godhead, man. I mean, I think he deserves a lot of respect. And obviously he gets it. That's a guy that's been, you've watched him publicly do great, then go down on his luck and a little bit of drug habit and all that kind of stuff, and then he fights back and he gets to live out his life, and with looking back on all he's done. That's got to be an amazing feeling.
Yeah, such a talented singer and musician.
Good kids come out of there.
So how can, let's go back again, how can they find you again? I know you already repeated it, but I want to drive this home because I think the people watching this would really benefit from lessons with you, helping to find their own tone because, well, for a case in point, I have a really good singer as a student, but he sounds so much like Chris Cornell. His voice is phenomenal, and he does really good in his band, and it's not like the same music, but he still has that approach, that long drawn kind of muffled, confidence. Yeah. So how, I think that's what singers need to come to you for. Even if they're in that, they can help to find really what their true essence is.
It's
Um,
learning how to relax. I mean to cut you off, but it's
no,
learning how to relax, which is something we all experience. It's learning to control all your energy, your nervous energy, that thing that gives you the butterflies, before you sing something. That should be something that you can use, not something to be afraid of. Once you learn not to fear that stuff and just be like, hey, that's just me going, that's my adrenaline going. And once you learn to control that sort of, I don't know, in martial arts they call it chi.
yeah.
Once you learn to control your chi, you can pretty much relax, open your mouth, and not have to sing everything like this. You know, you can sing everything like this and open your mouth, and it's
Yeah, and then
and
you
never
can
let,
affect it if you want.
yeah, and then you're and once again, it's great to have growl and grit, but you've got to have that centerpiece. I think that's what's important.
Oh,
You know,
that's so true. I got another interview for another vocal coach. John Henney is a good friend of mine. He's got a vocal coaching boot camp, and I've actually got to cover grit here in a little bit. And it's the same thing. It all starts from that center. And it is the chi. It's so funny when I do TV shows. I can't remember which one's which, but I'll be in China or Japan, and they're always like, you break glass. Is it from your chi or is it from your key? you
yeah.
know? But yeah, it truly is. It truly is. No matter what you're singing, whether you're singing low or high, and even jumping back to your harmonies, if you're a low singer, then maybe it's about placing it above as well. It's just kind of finding what works best. And I actually go both. When I'm doing harmonies, I got to have a lower one. I got to have a higher one. I got to have another lower one. I got to have another higher
Sure.
one.
Yeah, it's learning when to stop. When is enough enough? For some people it's never enough. I just think, live Alice in Chains was probably one of the better bands that did it, because Jerry and Lane just sung so well together. Sometimes
Yes.
you just sometimes it's just the luck of the draw. Sometimes bands just have that. You have Nirvana. Kurt Cobain sung really well with David Grohl. I mean, those two voices together, and that was all about David Grohl harmonizing on top. That was the luck of the draw. Once you find your best tone, harmonies come so easy because it's there. It writes itself. It doesn't really take much thought. You just start singing to it, and you'll feel it. Or you need someone to guide you along the way, which is what we do. The singers that don't understand or don't feel it, I want to help them find it.
Well, how can they find you again so they can find it?
RayWestMusic.com.
And can I hear your music there? Can I see any of your videos?
Yeah, yes, you can see all the, I think all the APW stuff is up, and the link to Facebook is there, so you can find any Spread Eagle stuff. I suggest that you go and listen to more of the recorded videos, because I find a lot of the live stuff that people put up of APW and Spread Eagle is just horrible to listen to.
Well, and I don't think it's so much you. I won't. It shall remain nameless. But a friend of mine is in a band, and they just posted a video of him, and the sound quality was bad. I don't necessarily think it was the band. I mean, it was so much bass, and I could barely hear any vocal, and it was kind of drowned out, and guitars and drums were muffled. So people with internet today, they just want to badger people, and not saying that, well, yeah, you could go in the studio and you can do anything. Yes, you can, but let's be honest, it's still about the emotion and about your tone. So it's still you, but it's in a controlled environment where they can understand exactly what the song's about, because you never know from venue to venue what the engineer is going to be like, what the speakers are going to be like, so it can change.
Yeah, because people enjoy. I dig the fact that people record events. That's been a whole thing with social media, recording the event, but people don't take into consideration that sometimes the event through their little microphone isn't going to make the sound of the music any better. You're not going to capture that live vibe unless you get a recording off the board or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Or, I mean, and you can make it a little better. Like I have these IK Multimedia, these little near-field mics, and they're fairly decent. I actually got two of them. This is a newer one, and it's for recording my videos, but it's still not the same. If you want a good sound running through the board, and you can pick up actually what's coming out from the mains. Okay, any last thing you like to add, Ray? Anything you want to say?
Oh, that's it, man. I mean, I think between you and I, we've got an opportunity to guide people that need guidance. I'm not saying we know. I don't say I know everything, but I can help. I think from what I've been through in my life, and my singing career and all the ups and downs, I think that I have gained enough wisdom to be able to help someone.
Yeah, no, I
You know?
totally agree, and I'm not a jack of all trades. Yes, I've played out in bars since I was 16, but I never had a recording deal. I never toured like you have extensively. So there's veteran knowledge that comes from you, and I am a voice strengthening specialist. A lot of artists come to me who have nodules or are running into trouble on the road. I'm not saying I can cure nodules, I can't, but to help them get over it so they can get back to singing on the road. So we attack it from that point, and we do go over stylistic things. But what I love about you is you can kind of help to mold them and lead them in the right direction of who they truly are without really manipulating them. They're really still doing their own work,
Right.
but it's finding them so much better than ho ho ho,
Right.
trying to be another Pearl Jam or something like that.
Right.
No disrespect, but I'm just saying, everyone's trying to copy. I want to be the next Journey. I want to be the next whoever it is, the next Michael Jackson, instead of finding their own stuff. And I think that's where you really come into play, even though you do voice strengthening stuff as well too.
Yeah, what we have here is creative development. That's what it's all about. It's that simple. It's creative development. Somebody knows they've got something to put out. You want to sing, and you want to be creative, and there's a lot of questions you have in putting yourself out there. So we get together, and I can help with that. I guarantee I can help with that. I've been through the process. I've been through the process, and I think I have enough advice to lead someone in the right direction. And we go for it. Everything's a gamble. Take a gamble on me, and hopefully we win.
A lot of singers also, I'm just asking if you offer this. I don't want to put you on the spot. But what if there's a band who really loves Ray West and they want to hire you to do backing vocals on their record or anything? Can you do stuff like that?
I do stuff like that, yeah.
Okay.
Anything that's vocal orientated. I mean, I just spoke to someone about that the other day because I was asked to go to a studio and do a ghost vocal for someone who should remain nameless. And, it's... I go where I'm needed. It's that simple, just like you.
It's so funny you say that. That's actually what happened when when Spread Eagle came together. You actually were in the studio just doing some scratch vocals for them because they didn't have what was the band, and they didn't have a singer.
Yeah, well, at the time they were called, they used to be called Bang in Boston. So when they came to New York, they didn't, I worked with Paul before he brought those guys over there. Paul had come to New York to be in the band that I was in. It didn't work out with him, the guitar player that I was playing with. So he said, I'm going to bring my guys, and I'm going to do my own thing. I was like, fine, peace to you, And my manager kept saying, well, they don't have a singer. Why don't you go over there and do some scratch vocals for them? Get off your lazy butt and see what happens. So, I was always just, I'm too busy. I'm happy doing this. I'm happy just being me, being a goof. And then one night I went over there because it was the right thing to do, and we just went to work. And it's one of those things where you hear something in your headphones, and you're like, wow. Then you got yourself on the mic, and you get, I don't know, it sounds so cheesy when I say it.
No,
you just know it just feels good. It's the right thing. You know that, wow, this is like, I feel good here. I feel very comfortable here, and I feel very powerful here. And the guys are like, you can tell because you're singing and you're looking at the guys in the booth, and they're just looking at you like, damn, this ain't bad.
So
it doesn't suck.
Was that the first incarnation where were you singing gritty before that scratch vocal, or did it kind of come about when you were just doing scratch vocals for that band because of the music? I mean, how did you evolve? Not to jump back, I'm not trying to keep
it's
going, but I'm kind of curious.
Well, when I came up to New York, I'd been in South Florida for a while, so I was around a situation where there was a lot of like, you sprayed your hair up and put it up as high as you could, and I was singing kind of soft, basically, there's a word for it. And the manager that I met was like, if you're going to come to New York, you can't be doing this. These guys are going to eat you alive. So I actually went to sort of like a grit, screaming, training, psychotic method with these guys, where I would be in a room with the band that I was in, and they would literally, push me and shove me to piss me off. And it got me mad, and it changed my attitude when I was singing. And it's all about attitude adjustment. you know. So when I would get into the studio from there, he's like, I need you to be more aggressive, you know. And so I would go out, and he would set me off, and I would still be like a puppy coming back for my treat, you know. I still got to get on the mic and get it done. I went through a process in New York where I was pretty much went through a grit vocal boot camp by my management to just be more aggressive. But the screaming, if the song calls for it, you scream for it, you know. So when I got into the studio with Spread Eagle, that music just called for it, and I just started doing this banshee crazy screams at like 4, 5, 6 in the morning, and nobody bitched about it. They were like, well, keep doing that. And I had to keep doing it. And I remember when we did do Scratch Like a Cat, that opening wail was like, it was easy, you know. And I just over and over and over again, man. So I felt very comfortable. I go, this is cool. I can use this. And it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt. It felt natural. I didn't really know what I was doing, but then I just started using it everywhere. And the more I used it, the more people were like, go for it. That's cool.
Was that type of scream? Is it really loud? Is it medium? Is it soft volume?
It's soft. It's soft. It's soft in my head. It comes out soft, and it's just the air just spills. You know how it's a flow, and you just sort of get right on the mic. You get right on, and you just let it flow, man.
Well, I mean, that's why I asked. I knew the answer. We knew the answer, but there's so many like kids and certain coaches are putting out videos on YouTube who don't really understand the beast of this. And you see the veins popping, and they're screaming too hard, they're coughing, and that's not the approach. It's not a hateful, damaging thing when you do it correctly. So
right, it feels good, and that's why you can do it every night. You know, when you go on the road, and some singers, how many bands have you seen when you go on the road, or when you go out to an event, period, where the singer is this raspy guy, and he lasts about maybe 2 or 3 songs, and then that's it. I literally felt stronger as the set would go on. If I wasn't chemically challenged or something like that night, you know, and I was in good shape, I could have a good night. There was, you know, 3 nights out of 5 were good nights for me.
So can you teach somebody how to scream? And I mean, what if they don't want to learn? What if they kind of got their own sound, but they just want to learn how to scream? Is this something you teach as well?
Then we teach them how to scream without hurting yourself. It's that simple, you know. It's that simple. And screaming is if you don't know how to do it naturally, and you're trying to learn it, you know, it's. Then we go through the catalog. We find James Brown. We find all that stuff, and we work on that. So you listen to this kind of scream, and then there's a Rob Halford kind of scream, and there's the AC/DC stuff where it's just rasp. And yeah, but we can teach people how to scream. It's out. It's, you know, you can do it if you really want to try. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I'm baiting you. I already know these answers, and I've been teaching screaming for as long as I've been teaching regular voice. Yeah. And there are coaches out, and I've seen it, and all of a sudden it's like the big thing. Oh, I can teach screaming, and I'm like, no, you can't. You know, I grew up. I mean, not to make you laugh, but I remember it was like 86 or 87. It was Brittany Fox, Girls' School. That was really my first introduction into screaming. The other guys, I was like 16 or 17. The other guys in the band said, "Hey, we're older than you. You're younger. You got the young chords. We want to do this song. You got to learn to sing it." Yeah. So I sound like that. I sound like one of those, like Cookie Monster or something off of Sesame Street. But then it started to unfold and make sense to me. You know, so I've been doing it for many, many years, as have you. So, well, there you have it, singers. Honestly, Ray West is one of my best friends. He's one of my mentors. His book, Melody to Madness, is actually one of my favorites that we've released from Bandera Publishing. Spread Eagle is one of my favorite bands. I know I sound like a love-struck fan, but I'm just being honest. This guy really understands teaching. And we are working on, Ray and I kind of have a connection and an alliance, and we are pulling in certain vocal coaches to work together, Ray being one of them. And so he is one that I definitely suggest that you check out, at least check out his music, check out his book. And if you feel you need someone to produce your music or help you find your own sound, teach you to sing grit, or even to throw some harmonies on one of your songs, give him a shout out at raywestmusic.com and tell him I sent you.
Right on, man. I'm easy to find.
Yeah, easy to find. You can find him there, or you can always see me chat with him on Facebook. So
that's it, man. Let's get down.
All right. Well, singers, thanks for coming to this Singer Spotlight. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but we have that. It's not an issue. And we'll see you in the next Spotlight.
Cheers,
Peace.
everybody.
Peace.